just I'll be sharing all this code with you, so you can just like that create. So let me create a table employee. Okay. Today, yeah. So right now, what I'm going to cover is, as I mentioned yesterday, these basics of these constraints and why do we need these constraints and how does it help in normalizing our database and how does it help in building a relational database, right? Okay. So let's see. When you think of employees, right? Let's just do it together. When you think of employees, what does it come? What comes to your mind? The first few columns that you should have an employee table, maybe name, right? Then employee ID, not any. Uh, Anything else that comes to your mind? Department, manager, right? Okay, let's just go on with this much. Department, say, let's keep it for a manager. Let's keep it name, manager name. Right? So this will create a table, EMP table, right? We will have name, we'll have ID, we'll have department name, we'll have manager name. So how you insert is again a DML statement, insert into employee, insert into table name. Here it is employee. There are two ways, basically there are two ways to insert. First is you can assign a particular value to a particular column, and otherwise you can fill up the whole table, that is all the columns. So if I say, so there are 1 2 3 4 columns here, I'll just say values, name, okay, ID, history, name, ID, manager name. This is one way of inserting. Okay. Another way of inserting data is when you don't have data for the whole, all the columns, you can either keep it, say, either keep, say you don't know which department has not been assigned yet. You can keep it null. Okay? Or this is another employee. This is the manager. Manager I have kept null here. Or you can also use something like this. Specify the column names and respectively assign the values here. Okay. Say name, ID, you don't need, sorry, you don't need the null here. So this will give you the same result as this one. Are you with me? That's right. It'll take as a null, right? So, so these are the two ways of, or maybe three ways you can say, basically two ways of, creating the insert statement. So, and as I mentioned, insert is a DML, so you have to commit it explicitly. Then you will currently, now you'll have one, so this is, let's make it this. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5. Let's have one more row. So we will have the manager. Manager is also an employee, right? So, and let's find one more. So any characters data you have to put it in single quotes. Numerics can stay as it is. Okay. So this will now insert 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 rows into your table employee. But there are a few issues already here. Okay. So let me see if I can show you. Actually, I didn't get the time to download the Oracle and the SQL Dev. Yeah, I didn't get the time. I will, I will try to do it definitely, so that Saturday we'll have a, longer and. Mhm. Okay, I can send it to you right away, right? Mhm. Yeah, just do it and share. I just shared the employee. Wait. Let me give you the create table also. Yeah, first create the table and then insert the 5 rows. Okay. Okay, we can see it here itself. So no need to waste any more time. No, I'm still sharing, right? Leave it, leave it. We can see it here itself. Okay. My screen is visible to you. You can keep that and you can do your own practice in that. Okay. What's wrong? Why it is not taking? I think there is some data type mismatch or something. So I have my EMP table right here. Okay. Uh, let's insert into it. Insert into EMP values. What is the first thing? Yeah, so one row. No, no, I am sharing the screen, right? Wait. Yeah, you can share now. Yes. Share it now. I can't see your screen. Yes, I can see. Mm-hmm. 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 No, no, no. You don't need to mention anything like that. So it is implicit. Wait, I'll tell you. Create table, name, char, ID. No, no, keep showing. I can't see your screen. I mean, I can see your screen, but not the SQL Plus. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, I can. I mean, I'm able to. I can show you. Just yeah, stop sharing. I'll hmm. Sorry. Okay. So this is one record that I inserted. Okay. This is my employee table. Similarly, I will insert all the other records also. I understand. I understand. I'll do that. Okay. So this is our table now with one record. Okay. Name, ID, department name, and manager name. Now let's insert all the others also. Uh, maybe you would have given, yeah, maybe you would have given, yeah, did you just copy this whole command or did you type it? Mhm, mhm. Must be something related to the data that you input, obviously. So this actually takes one at a time. That's okay. Okay, we have the table ready now. We'll just do a basic. I can see that you understand this thing, right? Select star from. It's just a basic show the table, show the data in the table. So this is how our table looks like. Okay, right? Yeah. So now go back to what I mentioned about a relational database, right? Where you have to yeah, you have to eradicate data redundancy, right? Can you see the department name here? Yeah. Yes. So now if I in a for in an employee database, there is we have name, ID, department name, and manager name. Say we uh, we have to update, yeah, we have to update or assign this guy to another department. We can either give, we can update here to a new name, right? But then we will lose the historical data. Say you're an employee, you were in department IT from this date to that, from 2020 to 2022, and from 2023 January 1, you are assigned to a different department or a different project, you might say. So you, if you have to capture that here, you will have two records, right? We don't have a date here yet. Say I have a assignment date or starting date or joining date for the employee. So you will have two records here with the same employee, same ID, and different departments, right? With different dates. Okay. So that is not a good way to build a database table. What I'm trying to point out here is your tables should be as concise as possible, should be as crisp as possible. By crisp, I mean in a particular table, you should have data which is really watertight, as in employee table, and always IDs. IDs are the ones which sort of identify a record in a table. So here we already have the emp ID, and it is implicit that emp ID would be unique for every employee, right? Okay. So if I have, proxy describe. It doesn't work here. Anyways, so we have our table here, right? No, it doesn't work here. It doesn't work. Right. That's okay. No, this is not exactly Oracle. This is probably SQL Server or MySQL based. So that's why that's okay. So here, as we did yesterday, we have not given any constraints anywhere, right? Not null is not there anywhere. So I can go ahead and add a column, sorry, add a record where I will give null for the ID also. It will still take us. It will still take that record, right? Say I will just add null, and department name is something else. HR, and manager is someone else. This also will get inserted. What is wrong? Values. Yeah. Right. So now this sort of data, does it mean anything? I mean, it doesn't mean anything, right? We don't know which employee we are talking about because we don't know the employee name or the employee ID. And name, as we all know, cannot be unique. Name can be, there can be two people with the same name, right? Two or more people with the same name. So we obviously need a employee ID, and we need it to be unique, and we need this column to be not null uh, in our table, right? So let's create. Okay, let's go back to the constraints. Now we are talking about unique and not null, right? So that is what is meant by primary key. If you have a column in your table which you wish to keep it, the data you wish to keep it as unique and not null, that is a good candidate for your primary key. You can have more than one columns like that in a table, right? So all those columns, say, yeah, all those columns are are called candidate keys. So what's a candidate key? Candidate key. Let me first write about primary key. Primary key, unique plus not null. This is a mandatory constraint in every table in an RDBMS. Okay. In every Oracle table, you have to have a primary key. Understood? Yeah. How? Okay. There are other tables also here which we can use actually. There are so many other, there is customer, there is already an employee table. Okay, fine. Now, you can have more than one uh, column which you might uh, require as unique and not null. But primary key is only one. There can be only one primary key in a table. Okay. Candidate key is all the columns that one needs unique in the table. Candidate key can be more than one column, but primary key obviously will always be one column. How do you declare a primary key? Okay, so we can create, while creating the table itself, we can declare one column as a primary key, or we can use another command called the alter command. Where is it? Okay, yeah. There is one more. I think I missed it yesterday. Alter. Yeah, I've added it. I'll share this again. Alter. There is one DDL command called alter table. Okay. So two ways to create a primary key. How do you create a primary key? While creating a, so we are creating a table here. Just take this and name it something else. Now, which do you think is are the candidate key columns in this table? No, no, no. I just mentioned about a thing called candidate key, right? Which column do you think is a good column to become a primary key? Okay. ID should be unique, and obviously ID should be not null. So you enforce this while creating the column. So how do you do that? You just mention here constraint pk1. This is the constraint name that I'm giving. Okay. And write primary key. This will be used as a keyword now. And you can mention which column do you want it to be the primary key. Now there might be situations where you can have a combination of two columns as a primary key. That's called a composite key. Combination of more than one column to be used as a primary. So this is how you can create your primary key constraint along with creating the table itself. Or there is one more way. You have to alter. You have a table created already, right? Like we have it here. So we will alter this table. Alter is again like create. Alter is a DDL command. Alter table emp. Yeah. Yes. Alter table emp. The keyword here is add constraint. Then give the constraint name. Same thing. No, 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 no. Creating a table with constraints, just this one. This is a separate table. This is a separate table. Okay. This is a table which is already created. Already you have created the table, but you say for some reason you forgot to add the primary key. So you can use alter statement instead. Okay. Understood? Okay. Exactly. Now this alter is used very, frequently in, uh, again, in your day-to-day basis for any Oracle dev. So alter table can alter a whole lot of things. One of them is adding a constraint. You can drop the constraints also. Say some other constraint you have created and you want to drop it, you can drop it via the alter table. We'll get to that later. Okay. There is one more thing I want to tell you is what is a surrogate key. They might ask you about surrogate key. Okay. Have you heard about this term, surrogate key, ever? Okay. So what it means is, here we are creating an employee table, and we know that we have an employee ID column already, and we will very conveniently we'll use it as a primary key. But then let's say we have a requirement of a table where there will be no ID, right? Say, like I mentioned yesterday, right? There was this uh, something, yeah, item list, right? Say there was no item code. It, go to this table, item list. We have item name, size, brand, price. Now, do you think any of these columns can be absolutely unique all the time? No, right? Item name can be different, can be same for two items. Size, brand, price can be same. There is no reason that it cannot be same, right? So, do you find any proper candidate for a primary key here? Which one do you think can you make a primary key here? We don't have any, right? So in that case, we create a we create a new column for which the data will be auto populated. Okay. How will it be? We will just create the column as we maybe item code number, and we will declare it as a primary key. Right? Then we will not get this data from our wherever we are getting. I mean, from the user, will not get this data. User still doesn't have an item code, but we definitely need to fill this up. So how we do that is with the help of a thing called another database object called sequence. Surrogate key is a column created while creating the table when there is absence of any candidate keys in the table. The surrogate key is populated with the help of a DB object called sequence. I'll not go into the create sequence right now, but I'll tell you what it means. It means you create a sequence. Now that is a separate database object. You just refer that sequence into the table here. So you create this a sequence which say you start with 1 and increment by 1. For example, here we didn't have any item code is not provided by our client, right? So we will assign item codes one by one, one after another. Like first record we insert, it will get the item code 1. Then in our sequence, we would have mentioned that increment by 1. That means the next record we insert will get item code 2. So how is that? So in that case, in case of a surrogate key, when we insert data, we will not assign any value to the primary key column. That means when you insert to item values, you will only assign values to the other 4 columns. What are the other 4 columns? Item name, size, brand, and price. Okay. You will not assign any value to item code when you insert. Understood? Yeah. So in that case, okay, you can try this as your exercise. In that case, the value to the surrogate key here, the item code will get assigned automatically. So it'll get automatically, it'll get a unique number. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, up until whatever your limit is. So the whole objective of this exercise is, now with the help of primary key, our database is in first normal form. By that we mean there is no record which is an exact duplicate of another record in the same table. Here, understood this line, right? Yes. So you understand what first normal form means? Yeah. So there is no duplication of data. You can, I mean, in the non-RDBMS databases, right? You can have the same data in 2 records also. It'll still exist. I mean, it'll still create the table like that. But here it won't. So you're clear about these 3 constraints now: primary key, unique, and not null. Yeah. Now, okay, let me just talk about foreign key and second normal form. Okay, let me see. What's a foreign key? Any idea? Okay. Okay. Let me know if it's too much. I mean, we can do this tomorrow also. Even I don't have much time, 5-10 minutes. Okay. So we had a table called employee, right? Let's have a table called department. Let's have just columns here. Name it depth. What's wrong? Okay, so now we have a table called department. With 2 columns. Obviously, there is no data. Let's insert into the table department. Values. First rows. Okay. Let's do let's do finance. So this is our department table. Pay attention here. Okay. We have 3 records. We have 3 departments in the table: IT, HR, and finance, with IDs 1, 2, 3. So obviously, it's very obvious that this ID column should be your primary key in this table, right? Okay. And an employee, we had name, ID, department name we had, and manager name. Manager name, let's forget it about it. Department name we had. So say we had department ID here. Okay. So for IT, our department ID is 1. So here we had department ID, and the value would be 1 here. Now department underscore dep underscore ID column is the same column. If my point is, if we are going to link 2 tables, okay, so what foreign key does is this key links 2 tables, right? A foreign key is a column which is a foreign key in table A is the primary key when as linking tables A and B. By, do you understand this? A foreign key in table A is the primary key in table B when one is linking tables A and B. So, example here is in department table, ID is the primary key, right? In employee table, if we have a column, say department underscore ID, okay, which is the same data as is the ID data in department table, is the foreign key which corresponds to the ID column in. Is it clear? So this is how we link department and employee. See, you can, I can show you, but my point here is, why do we need a foreign key, right? Because in employee table, if if you have the department ID here, okay, you don't need any more data for the department in the employee table. That means, see, the department table can have many more data. Like we just created a department table with the ID and the name. That's okay. We can have a department head. We can have a department location. We can have number of employees in that department. In the These are all relevant data for the department, right? We don't need to. I mean, we don't need all that data in the employee table, right? So in the So if someone says, okay, Suresh works in this in department ID 1, so the question here is, how many employees are there in the department that Suresh works in, right? So this is a valid question, right? So for that, you need to first find out Suresh, which department that Suresh works in, and then you need to find out that how many employees are there in that particular department. So there are two things here you want to do, and you have to link those two questions to get your answer. Right? So that is where your linking of department and employee table will come will come into practice, and then this will be your foreign key primary key connection. One more thing about foreign key is, primary key, as we knew that was unique and not null. Now foreign key can be null. Yes, you were asking something? Yeah. For that, I have to create one more table. I am running out of time today. Uh, yeah, I have to create one more table. So let's meet on Saturday. Tomorrow I'll not be available. Let's meet on Saturday for a long session, say for 2 hours or 2.5 hours. And Saturday, will you be free sometime sooner than 2 o'clock? Okay, okay, fine. So let's meet for 2 hours. I would have my setup done and I would have created the table so that it will be easier for. Okay. Any doubts that you have till now? I know there are some higher concepts that I touched upon today, but primary key, foreign key, unique, not null, inserting into a table and all that, that's pretty simple, right? You are able to understand. Surrogate key. Okay. Yeah. I can, yeah, for that you have to create a sequence. I understand there is some doubt there. No problem. We'll clear that. So Saturday we will try to finish all this, the constraints, and then we'll jump into SQL commands. Okay. Once our tables are created, we'll jump into SQL commands. Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'll have my setup done. By that I meant I will have the setup done for 19C, and I'll have a client also, like a SQL Dev or a Toad, so that will be easier. The SQL Plus, it's the visualization is not that good, so we'll not get what we want. Okay.